Hello and welcome to episode 1100 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Tuesday, September 20th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. We've got lots to talk about. We are in the throes of one of the best periods of the year for guys like us who are multi-sport mega fans, with football ramping up, baseball in high gear coming down the stretch here. I know you're not having your favorite fantasy season, but I'm obviously working to hopefully cash in our main. So a lot of effort going into that. And honestly, I'm just excited for these playoffs. I think it's going to be a really good playoff this year with some of these teams that we've seen. So yeah, I'm in a pretty good mood. How about yourself?
My season has just been a lost cause from top to bottom. But I want to point out, and this is something you and I kind of were just talking about at the prior to hit and record, as we like to chat beforehand, and that is in the beginning, or I think it was end of June-ish. You and I had a conversation in which you were in like 12th place or something like that. I was in first, and in our main, and you were like, man, oh, this sucks, man. I hate, that I'm losing, that I'm not gonna have even a shot to cash. And like I had to like talk you off the ledge a little bit and be like, hey dude, you can, you lost 8 points or something that week.
It was like a huge hit, and I was like, I got the horses, it's just not working. Yeah. I'm just not doing anything this year.
And I had to like be like, hey dude, there's still plenty of time. Work hard, you're gonna be fine. You'll get back in this. It's a really competitive league. And during that conversation, the soul of my team exited movie style
and came over to Texas
me and looked at me and went, yeah, and like went all the way over to you and entered your team. Because since that moment, my team has taken a straight nosedive, and your team has done everything it needed to do to be competitive. You have an outside shot of even winning the league.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right now you're in 4th place, right in the mix with 2nd and 3rd. And my team has gone to hell. So like we say all the time, like, hey, if you're not competing at the end of the May, if you're not competing at the end of June, like, don't give up, because there's still so much time left. Other people will fade. Mm-hmm. Other people will stop paying attention. Not that I stopped paying attention.
No, your pitching melted, by the way. Like that was all it came down to, was just a complete colossal fall down from your pitching.
Yeah, but you showed exactly what we preach.
Exactly.
Which is, if you are vigilant and you work hard, you have a real opportunity to gain ground even halfway through a season. And I'm proud of you. Like that.
Thank you. Like I appreciate that. And I needed that talk, man. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was just like, God, because I've been working so hard to move up. I was like, weeks and weeks. I'm like, I got the horses. I like this team, but it wasn't moving forward. I was running in place. Then I took that big hit and I just had it. I ranted to you like, nah, dude, it's all good. And I needed that. And I was like, okay, all right, let's catch Justin now. We'll finish 1-2 in this league some way or another. And then, like you said, your pitching prowess just evaporated, just absolutely evaporated. And honestly, everything you touched as far as pickups, that's what we were analyzing. Like, what happened with your pitching? Your aces are ace. Musgrove, Nola, you can't complain about that. And you had the aciest of ace closers, Josh freaking Hader. He alone is doing a lot of the work, let's be honest, of the negative. But then it seemed every little stream you did found a way to jam you. You tried a little Jonathan Heasley. Here's 7 earned runs in 3 innings. What do you think about that? Like little stuff like that. That was not a one-off. Every little guy, every little stream you brought onto your team seemed to twist the knife a little bit more. And Nola and Musgrove just couldn't cover it. And then Hader decided to get infected by them and pitch like trash himself. So yeah, you're pitching 15.5 points. That explains your fall. And like, obviously I'm not relishing in your fall, but that furthers our point about how much time there is left. You were in first, feeling great. And now here you are 3 points out of last.
Yeah.
That's how it can happen. Like, do not quit your leagues, y'all. You have to keep going, especially in June and July. That's way too early to be like, I'm done. Again, you can have nights where you're crying to your best bud and saying I'm done, but you don't actually quit. I was just whining through the pain there as opposed to actually quitting. So it's been an insane season. And with that kind of leads us into our topic a little bit, because we got some insane breakouts here that I want to talk about. And I really want to get your thoughts on where they're at for next year, because they're not the Michael Harrises of the world that everyone's super excited to draft, even though he's got some questions about his profile. The talent's there. He's super young. I want to talk about some of the more suspicious breakouts. And we have to start with somebody who supersized his combo meal yesterday. And Justin, would you be surprised to learn that that was Jon Berti's second combo meal of the season? My man has 4 homers. And check this out. He has 2 combo meals, one of which yesterday's included 2 steals. And you want to know where the other 2 homers came? In the same game. So he has a 2-homer game, a combo meal, and a supersized combo meal. Those are the only times that he homers. He pops off and does something else with it. So Jon Berti has obviously been a league winner type, even with accounting for the fact that he missed time and has been pretty dreadful since that return. He is still winning leagues. 36 steals leads baseball in 88 games for Jon Berti. But he'll be 33 next year. We don't know anything about like what the playing time is going to look like, if he's even with Miami. What the hell are you doing with Jon Berti? I already said this morning, I did a stream before we talked here, revealing box scores. I won't draft him in early leagues because I need to know what's going to be going on with his playing time. Where do you stand on Berti?
Yeah, I think the playing time situation at his age on a team that is in the midst of a rebuild is going to be really questionable. And I think he's going to get overdrafted for sure. I mean, everything under the hood looks good. Like he's
like, normal Berti.
Yeah, like he's totally fine. Like you're talking about a guy with an above average zone contact rate, a below league average O swing, which are 2 things you want to see. So he makes a good amount of contact, and then he's fast. He gets on the base pass and he runs. Like he just 36 stolen bases in 88 games is unreal. The hard part is like that is an unsustainable rate. I don't care who you are. Like, I mean, outside of being like Billy Hamilton in his prime, like, or Ricky Henderson, like you're just, I know stolen bases are going to go up next year, but his got to come down if he's only going to play that amount of games.
Exactly. So I think Berti will probably get outside the single digit rounds because leagues are going to know to be cautious with him. But I mean, I wouldn't even want to pay like a 13th round pick for him.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
I think that's about like where he might be going.
I mean, as good as he's been, and I mean, I would be very, very surprised if they actually did this. But like he could legit be a non-tender candidate.
Exactly.
He's 34 years old. It's his first year of arbitration. This is an organization that doesn't want to spend a ton of money right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they made another like Jazz Chisholm, Zach Gallen type trade where they trade one of their pitchers for a young infielder.
Yeah.
Especially because that outfield seems like it's starting to get a little full with Soler under contract and
Garcia under contract
and Blais already up.
Mm-hmm.
So I just worry that they're going to bring somebody else in.
I tell you this too. Isn't Charles LeBlanc just younger, Jon Berti? He's not as fast, but he plays everywhere, infield, outfield, can hit it a little bit with batting average, good contact, a little bit of speed. I mean, how's he not the same player?
He is in a lot of ways.
He's even got a little bit more pop. He does strike out a bit more. He had Charles LeBlanc had a 27% K rate at AAA. He's at 29% in the bigs, even though he only has a 10% swinging strike rate. So maybe he can improve it a little bit. But he's hitting 285, 323, 455. Nice little line for Charles LeBlanc. So I don't know what Berti's future is. I don't think I'm going to draft him. And if I do, it'll almost certainly be like a February, March when his playing time is more solidified and I know what I'm getting if I take Berti. So,
and you look at under LeBlanc, the hood for LeBlanc a little bit, and LeBlanc's contact numbers are actually even better than Berti's. Like the fact that he's striking out at such a high rate is a little surprising.
Weird, right? Okay.
Sub 10% swing strike rate, a 91% zone contact rate. He swings outside of the zone more, but like he's still making just a crap ton of contact. Yeah, I mean, they could easily be like, "Hey, Berti, thanks a lot, man. We hope you get a long-term deal somewhere else." But like, if he were to sign somewhere else, he's a super utility guy, just like
Absolutely.
in Miami. And like, does that place let him run the way that he's been running? Maybe with the new rules, so maybe. But I think like best case scenario is you're getting what you got, and we still haven't even talked about the fact that Berti like has like 26 RBIs this year.
Yeah, exactly.
And 42 runs and 4 home runs. Like and a 249 batting average. He is a one category player.
Exactly.
And so like, yeah, I don't think he's going to be a target of mine in the top 15 rounds unless I'm desperate for stolen bases. But like, I'm hoping I won't be in that position.
Same. I'm really hoping to avoid that. Just be careful with the Berti landmine. I like him. He's been great. If he helped you this year, thank him and move on. I really think you should be careful there. The majors only drafted him in the 18th round. We shouldn't draft him higher than that. He was an 18th round pick by the Jays back in 2011. What about this one? I'm super excited to hear your thoughts on, because I keep looking at this guy damn near every day. I do that box score show 4 or 5 times a week on my Twitch in the morning, just review the box scores, talk through different players. And Thairo Estrada, I swear he's doing stuff every day, and I keep going back to check out his bottom line, and it gets better every dang time. 14 homers, 19 steals, 266, 326, 416. Doesn't strike out, 17% K rate. A few walks, 6%, but you don't need to when you're making that much contact. He's going to be 27 next year. He was pretty good in his 132 plate appearances last year. This is 495 plate appearances for Thairo Estrada. Is he real? Is he, at 27 next year, is he someone the Giants are really looking at being a longer term part of this team? He's having a wonderful season. Do you believe in Thairo Estrada?
I mean, I kind of do. You got to love what you see under the hood. In the second half, you're talking about a guy who's got an almost 93% zone contact rate. So he's putting the ball in play quite a bit. He's shown some power. He's shown some ability to steal bases. Like, he's one of those guys that, with the new rules, like, he could go from being like, a double digits guy to like a 20 stolen base guy. He's already at 20, so like he could be a 30 base stolen guy. He's at 19 right now. The problem is he's on the Giants, and the Giants have shown that they want to platoon guys as much as possible. Now, that being said, the Giants are losing Brandon Belt's contract. They are, I think they still have. I don't know if they have Listella next year or not. I feel like he should be in the last year's deal, but he might not be.
I will look up Listella real quick.
Either way, Listella shouldn't be playing second base anyways.
Yeah. He does have another year of that 3-year deal.
Okay. And Luciano's not going to be up yet. Like, I think Luciano is still probably, maybe he comes up like mid to late end of the year.
He played in high A this year.
I think there's a pretty big role, at least starting out in San Francisco. He's not even
for Thairo.
For Thairo, he's not even ARB eligible until 2024. So like, he's not costing them real money. And I think the Giants are looking at 2024 as like the beginning of their real competitive window. I know last year they were amazing, but we all knew that was a fluke, and I think this year kind of proved it.
Yeah.
And there's just not much on the roster. So, like, if they bring in a big name or something, okay, then we start to worry. But I don't know that they're gonna. Like, I don't.
But he's second, third eligible. Thairo Estrada is, and outfield eligible if you play in 15 or fewer game eligibility. So you're looking at eligibility there. He can move around if they do bring in other players. Say they want to go crazy and try to get like a Trey Turner or something. Okay, maybe move Estrada into left field or something. He's played so well. He's been batting 1 or 2 a lot. I'd be surprised if they don't have some sort of commitment to him at 26, at age 27 next year. Looks like he could be somebody who's pretty solid for them.
Well, and on top of the Belt contract being gone, Longoria's contract is going to be gone. Rodon's contract is going to be gone.
That's right.
Because Rodon will opt out at the end of the year.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
They're going to have a lot of money to spend. So I mean, they potentially could bring someone in to block Estrada, but I just don't think so. He's just been so good. Like, he's been one of the few bright spots on what is one of the worst offenses and defenses
it's
in
been
Major
rough.
League Baseball.
It's been rough. The platooning has not worked this year. And by the way, I want to mention on Estrada, it's recent that he's moved up in the order. He's been a 5, 6, 7 hitter all year for the most part. But I was just looking at roster resource, and I saw that the last 3 games have been 1, 1, and 2 for his batting spots for Estrada. So listen, it's been a wonderful season. He's probably going to end with like 15 and 20. He only needs a homer and a steal to get there. Those are great marks for him. Double eligible. I don't think he's going to be expensive either. So I think if you like Estrada, you don't have to worry about buying in because you're not going to get ripped off. So
I completely agree.
Let's move on to this next guy, Frank Schwindel. Oh, sorry, Joey Meneses here. It's when you click his name, it goes right to Frank Schwindel's page, which is weird.
Yeah, because Schwindel got released.
He did get released. But we've made this comp a couple times already. That Joey Meneses is this year's Frank Schwindel. Does that carry all the way to flopping next year? The 30-year-old has 9 homers and a steal, by the way, in his 41 games. 325, 356, 548. Tons of power, but a 378 BABIP and a 24% homer to fly ball rate are doing a lot of work for this surge. He was great in AAA too, 20 homers in 96 games. It's an overall great season, but he's going to be 31 next year. I don't even know if he has a spot with this team. What do you think of Joey Meneses for the Nats?
I mean, it benefits him that he's on just what is going to be a really putrid team again. And they're not going to I don't think they're going to bring anybody in to block him necessarily, because why would you start your rebuild by bringing in a first baseman or,
yeah, exactly.
However, I do not think, he obviously can't do what he's been doing over the course of a full season.
I was going to say, do not extrapolate. We always argue the dangers of extrapolation.
Yeah.
You would be setting yourself up for major failure if you just extrapolated Meneses' numbers.
Yeah, and here's the thing, his contact numbers aren't even as good as Schwindel's were. He's got league average contact numbers. So it's just amazing that he's been doing what he's been doing. 378 BABIP carrying a lot of the weight on that.
That's the tough part about Schwindel, by the way, because you look under the hood and there was some viability to things.
Everything was saying he should be fine.
And they gave him playing time. He got the opportunity.
Yeah, and he wasn't expensive. He was super cheap. I think Meneses will he's obviously going to regress. The question is how far. I think you could see him just be a 240, 250 hitter with average power in a good ballpark. He's probably going to get some run in the same way Schwindel got run, or the same way Patrick Wisdom has gotten run in Chicago this year. He's hitting 201, but he's playing pretty much every day and hitting bombs.
Some solid defense too.
Yeah,
I think on Wisdom. Don't quote me on that, but I want to. Maybe not. I'm actually looking at it right now. Minus 10.2. Never mind.
Yeah,
never mind.
But
so I'm with everything there on Meneses. Here's the thing: he'll probably be a 30th round pick. He won't be expensive.
Yeah, but I wouldn't touch him before the 25th round anyway. So I think, if you're getting him late, the nice part about Meneses, unlike what we saw with Schwindel, is he's going to be dual eligible in the first base and outfield. I like those guys, especially at the end of the draft, because they can cover, first, outfield, util, and CI.
Love the infield outfield combo. You're always stressing that, and I think that's a great call. It's just that sort of diversity is really nice to have on the team, and you can certainly find yourself being oh, I can actually put him in the outfield. I love players like that. Let's go to Travis d'Arnaud, player that we're very familiar with, been around for a while, having another spike. This is not new. Is this going to be another situation like after the 2020 breakout? He flopped last year. Or does he build on this 95 game run with 17 homers, 270, 326, 483? He'll be 34 next year. He does have a contract. He is guaranteed to be there. So it's going to be him and Contreras again, unless they move him. He's only $8 million. Are you taking Travis d'Arnaud next year?
No.
Same, by the way. Insta no.
You know what he hasn't done since 2014?
What's that? Play 100 games?
Get to 400 plate appearances.
Oh, yeah.
Now he probably will get there this year.
He needs 19.
He's 33 years old. He's he's a catcher which is a position that gets injured. But he's got Darno's got one of the worst injury histories. Like, it's not all his fault either. Some of it's just been shitty luck.
Yeah.
But like, no, like there's been so many breakout catchers this year that
absolutely.
There's no way he ends
Kirk,
up on it. Yeah.
William Contreras, Adley, Cal Raleigh,
Yeah.
MJ Melendez, Jonah Heim. Yeah, I'd take Christian Bethencourt over him. Like, yeah, there's so many guys I'd rather have.
I want a guy who's going to play, and I just there's no faith in that Darno is going to continue to play, at this rate. Like, I agree. No,
and I don't even know that he's going to be like a starter. I think it could be a legit 50-50 situation because William Contreras is so good. Mm-hmm. So we have talked a little bit at times about Brandon Drury, but let's dive in a little bit more on where you're at with him. Obviously, his getting traded was always going to make things worse, just generally speaking, because he was batting second in a beautiful stadium with Cincinnati, and he has been worse with the Padres. Though I would say, not bad. Like, you're not upset with what Brandon Drury's been doing with them. If you break it down, he's got 7 homers with a 237, 276, 474 with them. It's a 108 WRC plus. That's obviously a dreadful OBP at 276, but the 7 homers in 31 games, 237 isn't killing you. But he's come back to earth for sure with San Diego. What does a 30-year-old Brandon Drury look like next year? And I know the first question will be, where the heck does he play? And I don't have an answer for that, of course, but he will be a free agent. So somebody will be buying high on him, or maybe San Diego will bring him back. But what do you think of Drury next year? Are you willing to take him and say like I don't know, I think he's going to be what, an 11th to 15th round type of guy?
Oh man, that's a tough question because he's eligible everywhere.
He's been my savior. We're talking about all that eligibility this year. He's been one of my saviors.
Yeah, I remember when I laughed at you for spending like $70 or whatever it was. I think $58 to pick him up.
Who's laughing now?
I'm not laughing because my fab pickups were what killed me.
First, second, third, and outfield. To just go to your point about the infield, outfield. He plays everywhere but catcher.
Yeah. So like, I love that he's multi-positional eligible. The question is obviously going to be what you framed at the beginning was, where is Brandon Drury?
I like that. That's a good spoonerism.
Brandon Drury playing next year. Like, is he? I assume after this season he's going to get a multi-year deal and be in line to be a starter. You would think, but like, he's also not young anymore. He's 30 years old.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't add defensively. He plays all those spots because he can't really play any of them all that well. He was a capable defender this year. He did not have a negative overall value, but he is like, that's not what you're getting Brandon Drury for defense.
Yeah. So like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like he's such a trap player. Like,
I agree.
We've even seen in San Diego, like, things haven't fallen off the edge for Drury, right? Like, we're not talking about a guy who, like, all of a sudden went from an 89% zone contact to like a 79, but it did drop. Like, it went from 89 to 86, which is still above league average. What we want to see, we still strike swings outside of the zone a little bit too much. We've seen like some of that power kind of dissipate, leaving, Great America Ballpark, going to Petco. So for me, I think a lot of his value has to be tied up into where he signs.
Absolutely agree.
We want to make sure
we don't know.
Like if he stays in San Diego, you go, oh man, he's gonna have value until Tatis is back, and then what happens? But like, if he were to end up,
well, he could play first. Then isn't Bell a free agent?
Bell is a free agent.
So then you could say that. That's what my thinking would be. If he did go back to San Diego, you're seeing Drury maybe play around the infield a bit until Tatis comes back, and then when he comes back, maybe you put Drury full time at first, or maybe he just plays first from day one.
Yeah, maybe it's possible. I don't want to. I'd rather him go to a place in which he has no real questions in terms of competition.
I agree, and I was saying this with Berti. That's the same with Drury for me specifically because I have him. I can't take the feelings of this year's awesomeness and how much I love him and carry that into the draft. It does nothing for me next year unless he somehow finds his way back to Cincy. Thank you for your service. Good day, sir. I don't think I'm paying for Drury. I don't even think it's going to be an egregious price. I just think I'm going to take what I got and let y'all do your thing with him. You're going to be mad that I even put this guy on here, but I had to because I think Jorge Mateo still has a sub 300 OBP. He does by a lot. So I had to include Jorge Mateo. 13 homers, 30 steals. This was a guy that you've been on from day one. With this stream or this pod has been very pro Jorge Mateo. You were on since New York. I became a fan in Oakland, and this, like I said, the two of us have been fans of his throughout his minors into San Diego, now with Baltimore, and he panned out this year. I hope you got him in spots because he's been awesome. 13 and 30.
I got him in a couple DCs, but the place where I picked him up off the waiver wire. Somebody dropped him.
I understand.
He went through like a cold stretch and they dropped him, and I picked him up I've gotten, 25 plus saves stolen bases.
He hit 145 in June with a 226 OBP. Like, I understand people getting upset, even though he had 3 homers and 6 steals in that month. He hit 145. So you picked him up. That's really nice. He's been great. He's 28 next year. 224, 271, 394 on the slash line, though, Justin. What are we really getting from Jorge Mateo next year? And are you going to take those good feelings that you got from picking him up and keep going with him next year? Or are you going to say, hey, I've been a fan of this guy, but I can't pay. I think he's going to be more of like an 8 to 12 round type of guy.
Oh, if he's 8 to 12 round, I don't know that I can pay that price on Mateo.
I just think he's going to have 33, 35 steals, depending on how many more you get. 5 more would be a lot. So we'll say like 31 to 33 steals. He'd probably get 1 to 3 more. And then maybe about 15 homers. So let's call 15, 30. Fine. That's pretty good. And a 28-year-old that had some pedigree, even though he hit 222, I think there's going to be some love for him because of those steals. And I could see him going a good bit higher than Berti. So I think Mateo will actually have a little bit of a cost tied to him. If he has any sort of single-digit draft cost, I'm 1,000% out.
I mean, here's he has been better in the second half. 251 batting average, 288 on base percentage. He still just doesn't walk, which hurts him.
Yeah. What's his strikeout rate in the second half? If I saw some improvement
22.6.
Hey, that is an improvement. He's 28 on the year.
And he's making league average zone contact. The problem is he swings outside his zone a ton.
Yes. He's chase master for Mateo.
This is why the walk rate is so low. He has really no idea what the strike zone is. He swings outside of zone too much. That being said, he's played league average to just barely above league average defense this year. And he can play multiple spots. And he steals a lot of bases. So
another infield outfield guy too, right?
Yeah. So I think he's one of those guys that I think the Orioles will keep around. He's been just a very popular player as well in Baltimore.
He's actually only played short this year, so he's only shortstop eligible for next year. He did play. He played the outfield, short. Third.
He originally came up as a shortstop, but then got moved into the outfield because the Yankees were, so rich at the position, and then kind of bounced between shortstop and outfield with Oakland. So, if his price is there, there's no way, especially with us expecting stolen base numbers to go up. Guys who are stolen base only, like Mateo, lose a lot of value.
Well, stolen base with a little bit of pop. I mean, he undercuts it by only having 48 ribbies and a 222 average, but you think 13 homers with your 30 steals.
Yeah. I just don't know that he's a top 10 or even top 15 round guy, because the floor is still not playing. The floor is the minor leagues, or being just a bench. He's one of those guys that, if he's struggling really, really bad, the O's will just DFA him.
Absolutely. I agree.
So,
I mean, you're talking sub 300 OBP that's so bad.
And that they got him from waivers,
exactly
the waiver pickup. So, he has no strong ties within the organization. Like, they didn't develop him or anything. He's a guy that got off the garbage heap. If he sucks, they'll go back on the garbage heap. And then he could be in a position where he is a pinch runner. And has very, very little value because he's just not in the lineup every day.
So the downside risk is severe.
Honestly, I don't think he's a top 15 round pick in a 15-team league. So
I agree. And if he costs that, I'm not paying for Mateo. And again, two of his biggest backers here, Justin from day one. I was on like day 3. Like I said, joined the party in Oakland. And you just can't do it. You got to be careful here. He's a trap big time. Be careful with Jorge Mateo. Let's talk about his teammate, Anthony Santander, another favorite of yours. I hope you got him this year because he was priced to buy. 27 homers, 79 ribs.
I was probably the highest person in the industry on
I remember you were a very big fan. 248, 325, 448. So solid slash, tons of pop. He wasn't bothered by the new wall, huh? When you got power like that, you can play. I'm sure he'd be like maybe chasing down 35, 40 if it wasn't for the wall. He does have 13 at home, 14 on the road. Anthony Santander, what do we think about him next year? He'll be 28 as well, coming off now a great season. A little bit of a down year in 2021 that has some injury excuse behind it that you can reasonably say. And then a nice 2020, which of course was only 37 games. So that gave the taste that people were interested in. And now I think we've seen a full season of greatness. Are you ready to pay the premium for Santander now? Because you got him on the cheap. Would you be willing to pay, 8th round pick for somebody that's hitting 30 homers with a 250 average?
8th round feels like a lot.
Do you think I have that right? I'm not great at guesstimating these, by the way. I'm guesstimating for a 15-teamer, so it can be much cheaper in. That's like 10th, 12th round type for 10-teamer.
We're talking about a guy who is really like a 3-category player, right? Because he's kind of Santander, like his batting average it's not going to be a positive.
No, you're just hoping it to not hurt you. And 248 is passable.
Yeah, and so homers, runs, RBIs. I don't know. To me, like, I think he's one of those guys. Like, you thank him for his service this year, and you probably don't play. Yeah, you looking for the next Anthony Santander.
Totally agree with that.
I don't know that I want to be spending anywhere close to a top 10 draft pick, even in a 15-team league, on him because like there's like where does he go from here? Like I don't see him turning into like a 40+ homer guy at the end of the day. Like you've got 27 from him now. You probably get a handful more. Like I think this is the ceiling. Like I think this is who he is. Like and probably the ceiling. Like
especially with the park change, because like the one thing that you could have maybe said is like, hey, there's some real power here. And what if he finds that 1 year of big homer to fly ball magic, which could still happen because he is like a 13-14% career. And a lot of times these big power guys can live in the low mid 20s for a year. That could be what drives a Santander super breakout. But I tend to agree with you that I just don't want to pay this. I want to look for the next Santander, a mid-20s guy with pop that I think can stay healthy and break out, as opposed to paying the premium on him. I'm with you. I don't think it's a cratering. I just think it's a whole hum type of.
I think I think he's going to be fine. Like I don't think, but like is like there much difference between him and Hunter Renfroe?
That's exactly who I was thinking about, and I think Renfroe will be cheaper.
Yeah, I think and now it's a better park, right? Like he's and potentially a better division. Like it's like I don't know, like I just don't think
that probably has me thinking that my guess on his draft round is wrong for Santander, based on what Renfroe did last year and the fact that he then went pick 162. Let's put Santander more in the 150 to 180 range. Then how do you?
I think that's fine. Like I mean that's probably where I'd be looking to target him.
Yeah, I was too short on 8th round. That's too high for Santander.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fine pick right there. Like I think there's also going to be a blob of guys just like him there.
Exactly.
So guys who aren't going to steal bases, probably don't give you great batting average, but are just going to hit bombs for you. I think the other thing we need to remember with Santander is like there's been some injury history with him.
Yes.
And he's gonna need volume to hit those home runs.
This is his first time over 438 plate appearances, which was last year's career high.
Like if people start pushing them up boards and stuff like that, like I would probably just fade him. And again, like I said, I'm looking for the next guy like him, like Renfroe. Like, Renfroe was the 2020 version, right? Or 2021 version. Santander is the 2022 version. There's a 2023 version out there, and that's the guy I would prefer to target as opposed to ending up with Santander.
Totally agree. And I like Santander. I just don't think it's the right move here. I'm going to save the pictures for Friday. We're going to call it here a little bit shorter, just because I do have a radio spot coming up, and I don't want to only do like 2 of the pitchers, and then we have to do the rest later. So we'll do a Friday suspicious breakouts for pitchers with a really, actually, there's some high-end guys there, and I'm very curious what you're going to say about some of them, guys like Kyle Wright, Tony Gonsolin, and I'll also deepen that list a little bit, and I'll go with some closers as well. I know closers are really dependent on whether or not they're closing, but, I'm curious what you think about Ryan Helsley. He's not really a suspicious breakout, but I wonder if you're going to pay the premium. So we'll talk pitchers on Friday. We'll go a little bit shorter today. But Justin, great talking with you here. Who's your favorite of this bunch to buy back next year?
Oh, probably Thairo, because I think he's going to be cheaper than Drury.
Yep. And I like the speed with it.
The speed with it, multi-positional with it. And like I said, like I just don't see the Giants. Like there's nobody on the Giants I'm super worried about taking away playing time from him. And the Giants have not been a super active team in free agency. Like even
if they are, I think they can maneuver Thairo around based on who they get. They can just cast their line out on a few different guys at different positions, and whoever says yes, okay, then Thairo moves to second. Okay, now he moves to left field. So I agree with you. I think he's the best buy there. Because I don't think his price is going to be all that high, and I like what he's doing. Some of these other guys are hard fades, like a Berti, like a Drury, and Mateo, and Darno, and even Meneses, who it won't cost anything. You fade him, and Santander is kind of in between. But interesting group for sure. How do you guys feel about those suspicious breakouts? Do you get caught buying the next year, or do you fade them? Hit us up on Twitter at Sporer, at Justin Mason FWFB. And I'll talk to you later this week.
Take it easy.